Hello, my name is Laura Bishop, and I'm a Technology Integration Specialist with Springdale School Districts, and I want to thank you for joining us today with the session for engaging students with Schoology. If you have any questions during the recording, please feel free to hit pause, and then you can either message me in Schoology, or you can just send me an email if you prefer at lbishop@sdel.org, and I'll be happy to help with any questions that you might have. Today we're going to take a closer look into the courses section of Schoology and think about organizing and creating materials for engaging students. But before we do that, let's look at the Innovation Institute. For those of you who might be new to the district or have not heard of the Innovation Institute before, it's an EdTech conference that takes place right here in Springdale at HAR-BER High School in June. Innovation Institute, which we also call I2, is a place where educators come together to discover new skills, strategies, resources, and ideas in order to transform teaching and learning in their classrooms with innovative best practices. Educators who joined us last year connected with 816 other educators from 63 districts across 6 states, and they were selected what they wanted to discover from 185 breakout sessions provided by 133 presenters. The library became a makerspace or STEAM lab for educators to join us as an experience, a makerspace as a student, and then to learn ideas, tips, tricks, and strategies to implement their own. The transformation part of Connect, Discover, Transform comes into play as educators put their learning to use. Each year we ask for feedback to gauge the impact of the conference on our participants and drive the next year's agenda. Commissioner Key helped us open the conference as he talked about technology being a tool that extends the reach of education. Commissioner Key was followed by George Couros, who is an internationally sought-after speaker and consultant known for leading educators in the area of innovative leadership, teaching, and learning. Mr. Couros is the author of The Innovator's Mindset, Empower Learning, Unleash Talent, and Lead a Culture of Creativity. The second day of the conference kicked off with Tyler Tarver, who is director of Ouachita Baptist University of New Life Church, creator of the TarverAcademy.com, and as a YouTuber, he has amassed over 11.5 million views. Whether you're focused on learning more about specific EdTech tools and strategies or want to explore bigger ideas and approaches to EdTech, the Innovative Institute can meet your needs. And did I mention it's free for Springdale teachers? Now that you've seen a little of what I2 has to offer, we sure hope you'll mark your calendar for June 12th and 13th of next summer. Think of a dozen and a baker's dozen, the 12th and 13th of June. This conference could not happen without the hard work of the Springdale staff and students who volunteer. If you would like to get involved, either as a volunteer, participant, or perhaps both, we would love to have you join us for the 5th Annual Innovation Institute. So maybe you're still asking yourself, why are we interested in an LMS like Schoology? Schoology provides the convenience of a one-stop shop with easy and direct access point for teachers and students to manage content. Schoology can help you streamline your classroom workflow by making more efficient use of the already limited time you have with your students. When you eliminate time spent dispersing and redispersing materials, and you and your students no longer have to manage multiple links, you can increase instructional time. You can upload and store all your materials in one place, and because Schoology is integrated with Google, not only can you gather materials from your PC and other spots, but you can also gather those from the G Suite. The Arkansas and Next Generation Science Standards are uploaded to the Schoology platform, which will help teachers and staff easily integrate curricular ties into learning plans. You can provide authentic student feedback, reward students, including badges, comment on, annotate on students' work right in Schoology, and provide encouragement or redirection. Schoology can provide differentiation opportunities with its individual and group assignment features. You can communicate with parents, teachers, and students with one message. No need to access a variety of tools. All your communication can emanate from one spot. And when you join a Schoology group, You can share resources and ideas not only with educators in your building or school or district, but also worldwide. Before we get started learning with today's exercises, let's review what we've done. We accessed Schoology for the first time when we met at the beginning of August in a live stream session called Introduction to Schoology. At that time, we navigated Schoology, talked about e-school provisioning courses and users. You joined your principal's communication group. We looked at how to customize your profile and modify notifications, and we talked about how you can access support as you are using Schoology. As a follow-up to the introduction, you continued to build your personal resources and create a PLC or team group. When we met again in September, we continued with how to set up a PLC group and add resources to move those from your personal over to your group, to your team group. We set up your course looking at privacy and course settings and moderating posts. eSchool provided your roster, but you didn't have all of the parameters that you needed to run the course yet. As a follow-up, your next steps were to continue to add resources and think about course organization and adding materials to courses. First on our list today is to get the Schoology Mobile App. So if you want to take a few moments here to grab your phone, let's get that loaded for you. One of the benefits of Schoology is that students can have 24/7 access to course materials and parents can have 24/7 access to real-time student progress monitoring. So you just left school as a teacher and you think of something you wish you had posted in your classroom. Well, the easiest and quickest device to access is of course your smartphone. So it's not a problem when you have the Schoology app. So before we log into Schoology or your laptop or Chromebook, let's get this app started. Once you've downloaded it, you can do it in Android or an iOS with the Google Play Store or in the App Store. And once you've done that, the app will look like what you see here on the right. And you'll notice there's two boxes. The top box says Find Your School or Domain. That's the one you'll want to select because you're going to use your Google single sign-on to access the app. For parents, they will need to use this bottom one. But for teachers and students, we will use our Google single sign-on. So once you access that white area there, that white box where it says Find Your School or Domain, just simply look for Springdale schools in Arkansas. There are some other Springdale, so be cautious. Okay, so if you'd like to pause the video and get that app going, this might be a great time to finish that up. So now hopefully you have already added your mobile app. So we've got a check mark for the first thing for the day. The rest of the day we're going to concentrate in the course section of Schoology. We're going to look at adding materials and how to organize those materials. We're going to really concentrate on adding files and links, creating discussions, assignments, including embedding a Google form, and if time permits, we're going to look at media albums and embedding Google Slides. Okay, so it's time for us to think about going over and getting logged into Schoology. While you're logging in, I was going to just run through here with you with a couple of different categories for those materials that you add in Schoology. You can break those into informational and interactive. So informational is anytime you're wanting to deliver information to your student. And the way to organize those is that Schoology provides folders, and folders can be within folders. So it's a great organizational tool. You can upload files, links. Pages is kind of like creating a mini website inside of Schoology. So if you have several things you want them to access and you want it all from one screen or one page, you might use a page. And media albums is another way that you can engage those students with information. Now the interactive portion are those that you usually can grade, and discussions would fall into that. So that can be a conversation between students, between teacher and students, and you can control those with some of the features in Schoology. Assignments, of course, would be your test, quiz, or any kind of assignment you want to provide for the student. And then media albums, we see it here again because it also has that interactive feature as well as just presenting material. So now you've been trying to log in, and if you've had any trouble, this is the same form we've been using. And if you have any issues with Schoology or logging in, please let us know by using this form. It's used with a Google shortener, goo.gl, and once again it's case sensitive. Capital N, JP, capital F, 8G. If you need an account for an intern, this is the form you would use. Interns aren't in eSchool, so they're not provisioned, but they do need a Gmail account before you complete this form with Springdale, I should say, not a Gmail, but a Springdale Gmail account. And now it's time for us to think about logging in on our laptop or Chromebook. Last time we made a favicon for our Schoology. That's what I'm going to use to log in. But if you weren't with us last time, you don't have that, or all you have to do is on your URL go to learn.sdale.org. Let me escape here. And I'm just going to open up another tab. And this is my little favicon here that I made for Schoology. And like I said, if you don't have that and you want that, just review last time's live stream, the one from September, and it'll show you how to get one of those. And I can log in just that quickly. I've landed on my home spot here. And anytime you need to get back to that home spot or your landing page, you can just hit your logo for your school or district up there in the top left, and it'll take you back to this screen. It always comes up with recent activity, and then of course your course dashboard. And in your course dashboard, when you get to courses, you can't move those courses around. So if you want to arrange your courses, you'll want to come here to this home screen and access the course dashboard. And from here, you see you can drag and drop these courses and arrange them in what order best fits you. Okay, so today we're concentrating on courses. You know how I told you if you have a question and you would like to message me in eSchool, don't forget over here clear to the right where this little envelope is, this is your messaging center. So you can just select that and find Laura Bishop and send me a message with any question you might have, or you can email me at lbishop@sdale. All right, last time we gathered, we created a little course and we called it our sandbox course so that we wouldn't be affecting the courses that are already provisioned with students. And I'm going to access that right now. And you see I've got that little icon, that little badge there which says I'm an administrator in this course. We created the course, we edited your picture, we showed you how to edit a picture for that course. And then we kind of concentrated here on course options because like we said, you had the roster, but you really didn't have the parameters for managing the course. So we went into edit, privacy, and course settings, and we talked about being able to moderate posts and where to find things that you had maybe accidentally thrown away here in the recycle bin. We also went down to grade setup. And when we got here, we set up a few categories for grading. And we talked about what scales you wanted to use, whether they were numeric or letter grade scales, and talked about whether or not you wanted students to see the visuals, maybe how you wanted to arrange the columns in your grade book. So today we're going to add one more feature in that grade book, which really is key for differentiation when you're administering or when you're dispersing materials to your students. And we're going to do that by going into members for our course. So if you'll just go down the left-hand side there and go to members, you should see all the members in your sandbox course. You may have had another teacher join you, or you may have no one there at that time, so it may not look quite the same. But over to the right, once you get to members, you'll see a little outlined box that says Add Grading Groups. So I'm just going to show you how to do that real quick. So I'm just going to select Add Grading Groups. And actually, I've already made a couple. I'm going to delete those. They're right here so I can redo them. And I'm going to select one, and I'm just going to call it, these are some of my secondary friends. So I might want to send them a little different material than I would the others. So I'm going to call it secondary, and then I can just select the students that I would want to appear in secondary, and then just say create grading groups. So now you see I have secondary. I'm going to add another one, and I'm just going to call it elementary. Of course, you can customize these however you like. And I'm just going to select what I think might be elementary there. So now you see I've got 2 grading groups over here to the right. So this is going to come in handy. When I make assignments, I can assign those to either an individual or to one of these groups. All right, so we said we were going to focus on materials today, which is the engaging part of Schoology with a student. Anytime you're having like the formal interaction with a student, this is where you'll head, is over to courses, and this is the materials where you'll provide materials for them. So I'm going to go to materials, and then up here under add materials, the first thing I thought we would add would just be a file. So down here along the center edge of this pop-up, we've got add file link or external tool. So I'm just selecting that. And once I do, I see a little pop-up and it'll ask me, do you want to add a file, a link? And I am going to add a file. And so these will access the files in my PC. So I'm going to say I want to attach a file. And I've got a little folder here called Parent Resource for Schoology, and I'm just going to open up that folder because I want to grab the files out of that. These are some letters that I simply grabbed out of support under Parent Resources, and this can help you communicate with a parent. It can tell them how to log on to Schoology and how to use their student's access code to create a Schoology account so they can then see everything their student is doing. So I want to add a few of these to our file. In fact, I could add all of them at once if I want. I was just going to talk to you for a minute. I've seen this might be a little helpful to you. It may not, but I'm just going to spend a little bit of time here showing you. Let's say that I want to select certain files within this group. I'm going to select the first one, and let's say I want to select the first one, and then I want to select the third and the fourth one all simultaneously. Once I select it, I'm going to depress and hold the control button, and then I'm going to select the other ones that I would want to. So I can control which ones that I want to add, and then I would just simply hit open. The other option I would have for selecting these files would be to select all those. And I want to show you how to quickly do that if you have a long list of things and you want to select those. I am going to just click off, so I deselect those. I'm going to select the top one, and this time I'm going to hold down the shift button, and then I'm going to select the last file in the group that I want to include. And then you can see I've selected all of those, and then I'm just simply going to come down here and hit open, and you will see those will start adding. Okay, so there's all those files, and I have some options after I add those. I can either, at this point, if I wanted to, I could tag those with standards or learning objectives here. I could say the minute they go over, I want students to see them or not to see them. And whenever you select these choices at the bottom, just keep in mind that the notification box that pops open actually tells you your current state. So when I select that green dot right now, I actually can, when I upload these, it will be published to students. But if I choose that I don't want things to be automatically published to students, I can just toggle that off. And now you can see the current state is that those will upload as unpublished. The other thing I can do here is I could copy these to other courses if I choose at this point. And you can see all my other courses pop up, and I could select which ones I would want to copy to. I'm not going to copy to any except for our sandbox course. So now that I've got all the files uploaded, I'm ready to add them over to that course. I'm just going to select add here at the bottom. All right, so here I am back over to the course, and you can see I've added all these files. Now that's a little overwhelming and not very organized. So let's take our first step towards organization with those files. And I'm going to go back up to Add Materials drop-down. And this time I'm going to add a folder. And I'm going to call it Parent Resources. And there it is. And if I don't like it, maybe I want to change the color, or I don't like something about that folder. For example, I just got the R in and didn't get resources. I can come over here to the cog to the right. I'm going to select Edit, and I'm going to fix that name. And I'm actually going to make it purple. Here at this point, I could add some description if I wanted. If it was a folder that I wanted a date on, I could actually do that here at the bottom. I could make it published or unpublished. I could make it published on a particular start date. And I could make it published during a date range. Say I only want it active for 2 days or 3 days. I can do that through here. So it'll give me the options to add an end and a start date. But for now, let's just leave it published. And then I'm going to say Save Changes. Okay, so now I have added a folder. And one of the things that makes it really easy to organize it within Schoology is its drag and drop feature. So what I'm going to do is right now is I'm just going to drag that folder to the top. All I did was just right-clicked Parent Resources and drag him up to the top. And I want all of those files in that folder, so I'm just simply going to click and drag those in. It's kind of funny, you kind of got to get it up next to Parent Resources, and then you'll see a little gray box pop up, meaning that you're ready to place them inside of the folder. If you don't quite get it on there, you'll just move the entire file. But you can see these are actually going into that folder. And a little key thing here is that when you have a folder on your course face, you can use this little downward caret here, and when I close it up, of course, the caret turns to pointing right. And when I've got that folder open, I can just re-click that to see what I've got in that folder. Once I've got those files in that folder, if I don't like their order, I can once again drag and drop those and arrange those how I like them. Just to give you an idea of what those look like, I'm going to look at this particular PDF, and here's how they look in Schoology, and you have a few options of how you want to view those. This one's a 2-page, so I could actually look at the second page. Perhaps I would prefer a thumbnail to the left so I can tell how many pages are in there and I can skip to which page I like. I can zoom in. I could make them full I'm going to take that thumbnail off. I can make them full screen, either horizontally or vertical. I could totally pop the entire document out. You could dip print it or download it from this screen. But for now, I'm just going to decrease that back. So you do have some options there when you're viewing that to make those more visible within Schoology. Also notice this next button up here. So if I've got all these files in the same folder, I can move around within that folder with these buttons. I can go to the next file, or I can go a bit forward. If these were not in a folder, if they were just independent within the Schoology face, I wouldn't have these options of previous and next. Okay, so that's just a little bit on organization. So if I click back here, this takes me back to the folder and shows me what I've got in there. If I go up just a little bit further above the folder that I'm looking at now, where it says the name of my course, which is the sandbox there, and I click that, it will take me back to the first face of the course. All right, so right now we've created a little folder with some parent resources in there. We've kind of looked quickly at how the PDFs view, and we've kind of talked a little bit about organization, dragging and dropping, moving those around. And I'm going to add another folder right now. I'm going to add another resource right now. So I'm going to go back up to Add Materials. And this time, you know how you've been trying, we've been trying to get resources compiled into Schoology and then sharing those that we thought were pertinent to the rest of our team and sharing those to PLC, and we've been trying to get our resources built up. Right now, I'm going to show you how to access some of those resources and bring those into the course. So here from Add Materials, if you'll just come down to Import from Resources, you will see your choices. You had your personal resources, your group resources, and then you also have your apps. So you may have some resources in your apps. But right now, I'm just going to look into my personal resources, and I have a folder called Schoology Resources, and I've decided that I want to move it into this sandbox course. So all I have to do is just select it with this checkbox in front of it, and then I'm going to select Import. And what it does is it opens up that folder and says, do you want all of the items inside of the folder imported? And I'm just going to leave that as a yes. And I'm going to say import. Okay, so here I am with some Schoology resources. And then when I look in there, there's another folder called Folder and Material Organization. And I think I really want to drag that one out separately. I really don't want it inside of this other folder. So what I'm going to do is go back to my course. If you always want to get back to the face of your course, you just go up to the top where the course name is. I'm going to reveal what all's in that particular folder. And this is the one I liked, Folder and Material Organization. So I want it out of that folder, so I'm going to drag it out of there right now. And I'm just going to put it down. I don't want to put it in another folder. I want to put it separate, and there it is. And you know what? For right now, I think I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of this. So what do? I just come over here to the cog to the right. I've decided that's the only folder I want. I can delete the rest. Just say delete. They'll say, are you sure? And I'll say yes. Because I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. I'm really only going to use this one right now. So I've got parent resources, folder, and material organization. All right, so let's open up that folder. And there's one that says quick tips for organizing course materials. And I'm going to view that one. So there is no right way or wrong way to organize materials. Here are a few ideas to help you get started. You can use folders to organize. You will have a folder for each week. You might want to do it by unit, by subject. You can use images or colors on those folders to assist participants with identifying folders. You know, sometimes it's easier if you see a visual, oh, the one with the sandbox, that's my sandbox course. So a visual really helps, especially for younger learners. You can create naming conventions and be consistent. Maybe we always have a folder that is for pre-lab assessments, or maybe we have a folder that is for quizzes and tests that we've already taken. And then don't forget that you can drag and drop materials anywhere, assignments, discussions, and quizzes, anywhere into any folder and reorder them any way you need to. Okay, so those are just a few quick tips there. I'm going to go back to the folder. These are some other tips. They're a little bit time consuming, and for us just getting started, I think right now just moving folders around will be all we need. All right. One way to think about organizing, especially if you have younger learners, would be maybe just to have two folders. And I'm going to add two folders right now, and I'm going to call those a future activities folder. And because our future is so bright and sunny, I'm going to make it yellow. Okay. And I can decide if I want future activities published or not published. And because this is future activities and I've got younger learners and I don't want to overwhelm them with what all they see in Schoology, I'm going to make all the future activities that I place in this folder unpublished right now. So all I've done is come down to the bottom and selected unpublished. And then I want it available always, so I'm just going to hit create. Okay. So now I have a folder called Future Activities, and you see how it's kind of grayed out. That means it's unpublished and it's not visible to our students. And then I'm going to go ahead and add another folder, and I'm going to call this folder Past Activities. And because we're finished with them and we've done them and completed them, I'm going to make them green. And I want to show you here how you can add a recognizable feature to a folder. And I'm going to do that today by inserting an image on the face of that folder. So all I've done is just select image. And I have previously downloaded a check mark, a green check mark to match my green folder. So I've just gone and selected that. I'm hitting open. And you can see there's the check mark, but he's so huge that I'm going to have to edit him a little bit. I'm going to just select him, and just like in any other document, you'll see we have these editing tools, and I am just going to shrink him down a little bit. And if I wanted to, I could even add text also. But I think I'm just going to leave the green check mark for now. Okay. And this folder, because it's past activities, I always want to keep it published to the students because I want them to see what we've done, and they may want to refer back to some materials that we've used previously. So I'm going to keep it published, and I'm going to say create. So now when I look, I've got future activities and past activities. So let's say that we're finished with parent resources right now, and I don't really want that visible to the students. What I'm going to do is go ahead and grab parent resources folder, and I'm going to put it in my past activities folder. Okay. And then right now, let's say we're working on folder and material organization. So I want to show you how you can see what your students are seeing very quickly. If you come over to the picture of that you have assigned to your course, over to the left, you will see course options underneath it. So we're just going to select that. And then we're going to say view course as, and I'm going to view the course as I have a student I call the fake student here. And you can see that he will see the past activities. So he could open up that folder and see anything we've done before. And at the top I have what we're currently working on. So that will clear it up a lot for them. When they come in, if they know that what's at the top of your course is what you're working on, they can go straight to work there. And if they want to see anything we've already done, they can see past activities. Notice they don't see the future activities folder at all. Right. So once I've viewed that as a student and I'm satisfied with what I've got there, I can go back to the course, and way over here to the right you will see back to course. I'm going to select that, and that'll take me back to where I was working. Okay. All right, so now we've got future and past activities. And I am going to concentrate on adding some other materials. So far we've just added links and folders. So let's look at adding an assignment. And I am going to call it Google Form, because it's going to be an example of embedding a Google Form. And on the slideshow for today's presentation, I have the steps to how to build this Google Form. When we go back over to it, I'll take a quick look at it. In fact, I don't know why we don't just look at it now. Let me just flip over there and show you. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our Google Form that we want to embed, and we're going to look at Send. We're going to select the embed code and copy it. Then we're going to come back to Schoology course, and under our assignment that we're making, we're going to show you how to embed that form, so then when the student accesses it, they'll actually see the form right there in Schoology, and they can submit it from right in Schoology. Once again, the beauty of the learning management system, not organizing, not managing multiple links for you and your students, all in one stop shop. All right, so those, and this will be on, I will keep this form here, this slideshow here. It will be on on the technology integration page. Let me escape and get back over here. All right, so I'm going up to the top here, and I have a form that I thought we could use already. It's our user information form. Okay, so all I've done is open up a Google form. So say this is the form that I want to share with a student. Maybe you've gone ahead and made a test or quiz with Google Forms, and why would you want to recreate that when you can just simply use it over here in Schoology? So I'm going to hit Send to the right here. And when that happens, you will notice this little, I call it the less than greater than sign, but it actually is just tells you that this is where you'll find the embed code. So I'm going to select it. And once I've got that code, down here to the right, you will see the option to copy it. And you'll see Copy Clipboard pop up over here to the left. So it tells me I've got that copied to the clipboard. So now that I've grabbed the embed code for this form, I'm going to move back over to Schoology. And this is where, before when somebody had asked me this question, I didn't think you could do it. Here's where I was messing up. You see this link up here? That's where I was trying to add it, and it wouldn't embed. So it just really makes a link to the form. But if you want it embedded, be sure you come down here. This is the whole trick to it, to the bottom of where the description is, and select that link. And here, of course, you can still put your instructions for what you want them to do with the form, any kind of description you want about what the form is. Anything you need there, you can still add within that box. And it still has all the editing tools. So I'm going to add this link right now, and we're here where it says link or embed. I'm simply going to right click and I'm going to paste it in there, and you could use the Control-C, Control-V, whichever you prefer. And this is our user form, so I'm just going to give it a quick title, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach it. And so it looks like it's down here, but in a second I'm going to show you what it looks like. So at this point I could add a due date, but it's not necessary. I could add a category, because let's say that you start using Schoology as your grade book that's teachers and that the students and the parents can access really quickly, like from their smartphone. And so you're starting to get all your grades, and even though they don't pass back to eSchool, you want them all in one spot, and you kind of want your students to always know where they are. then you might want a spot in Schoology for this particular assignment. So I would just call this one, maybe it's a ticket out the door or a quiz. I'm not sure which one, whatever you want there. Your categories will look different. Those are all customized by you. And then you can tell whatever scale, maybe you want it by letter grade or numeric. When it says create new, you could actually add a rubric. You probably wouldn't want to on a Google form. It's not going to work well because it's going to take you out to the Google Drive or the Google Suite. So here are my options. I could either assign that individually, and when that pops up, then I could say to one particular person, and I can just start typing that name so I can make it to my fake student. Or I can assign that to a group. And remember, I named one group secondary. Okay. So I did it to the secondary, and then my fake student who is also in the elementary. Whatever combination you want, that's how you can differentiate what materials you're sending to different students. And then right here with added learning objectives, I could align those there with the state standards. And let me just show you really quickly what those look like. So if I'm aligning a learning objective, and let's say that this is a science quiz, this is a user form, but let's say that I'm looking here at the next generation science standards. You will see that you will find all those there. You can break it down to wherever you are, and you can actually assign that there. And I could select that. Okay. So that's how easy it is to align to your learning objectives. And then when I come on over, it says submissions enabled. And this is one that I want you to think about when you're using a Google form and you're actually going to let the Google form grade within Google, is that you might not care, because this looks like an assignment with Schoology, you don't really care if the students are trying to submit this assignment, because you're going to go look over in Google and grab their grade and bring it back over. So I would probably disable submissions there. So once again, when you hover over it, it says submissions disabled. That's the box popping up. That's my current state. So I have disabled those submissions. But I might want them to see it right away, and I might not. So I can select that there. Of course, if I select that, I can say unpublished or published. I may not want to let students comment on assignments. That's up to you. I would probably disable it for a Google form. And then I'm ready to hit create. Okay, so now I have created that Google form here. Now, one thing about having a published, unpublished folder is that, say you had set that as published, but you really quickly just wanted to move it or unpublish it, you can either do that here, and I can say unpublish, or I could always create those up in my future activities folder, and the settings on the folder will override any material inside. So if the folder itself is unpublished, everything within is unpublished. All right, so now I'm going to view that. I want to look at that Google form and see how that looks, and I got to make sure I've got it published, which is not grayed out, so I've got it published. So once again, I'm going to come up here to the top left under Course Options. I'm going to go to View Course As, and I'm going to see what my fake student sees. Let me hit refresh here. I'm not sure what's happening. It seems to be having a bit of a lapse here. Looked like you lost the connection for just a second, but now we're back. So let's try that again. Let's go over here to Course Option, View Course As. And I'm going to look at it as the fake student because I know I signed it to him. And you can see he sees Google Form. So when he opens that up, he'll look, it looks like a little film strip on there. So all they have to do is just hit play, and voila, there's the Google Form right there. And so they can complete that and hit submit, all within Schoology. All right, so now I want to head back over to the course. So I'm back over to the right where it says back to course. And here I am back in my course. Okay, so we have done a few materials. We have added folders, done a little bit of arrangement. We've talked about for really early learners how it might be best if they only see three things when they view that. What I'm working on at the top, and actually they'll only see two, what they're working on and their past activities. They will never see the future activities if you keep it unplugged, unpublished, and at any time you're ready, you just drag them to the top and move these back to past activities. I think that's kind of a quick way for organization for younger learners. All right, so now we have, when it talked about adding materials, we've added an assignment with a Google form embedded. So now let's add an assignment. And I'd like to show you how the Google Drive assignment app works down here. You know how in classroom, how you're used to assigning something to a student and the student gets their own copy? You can do the same thing through Schoology if you've got this Google Drive assignment app added. Don't forget, if you don't have your apps, up here to the top right, that is your app button, and you can go in and find Google Drive assignment and add it. If you haven't already, if you don't have that here, it's because you haven't added the app, which was some of the things you might have it. We did that last time, I believe. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to call it Google Drive assignment, because that's what we're demoing here. And when I do that, what can happen is I come down to Google Drive assignments, and it will actually access my. It says I'm still connected at internet access, but it looks like for some reason it's thinking I'm losing access here. Let's try it again. There. All right, so once I get over to my Drive, and it's kind of like, have you ever used your Drive app on your iPhone or on your smartphone, and when you get in Drive, you're like, what is this order? The same thing kind of happens in Schoology, but it's okay because the search tool is excellent in it as well. And I know I have named this as example 1. There it is, example assignment 1 for Schoology. So that's the one I'm going to select, and then I'm just going to say attach. Okay, and there it is. And it'll tell you, it'll give you a little just a little notice. This will create a copy of your file for each student down here to the right. And then I can put a due date on it. Let's say that I want this due by the end of the week. And remember, it'll always default till midnight of that day. Maybe you want it done earlier in the day. Maybe you want it at noon. I can change the number of points I want it to be worth. I can tell what category that's falling under. I can tell what type of scale or rubric I want for that. If I wanted to create a new rubric right here, I could, and I want to just show you that while we're here. So I'm going to say create new. And here pops up the screen for creating that rubric. And you can see that I have, it defaults to 4, but this is totally customizable. You can change it however you like. And if you want to go ahead and find your standards, all you've got, and you can add more criteria here, but I'm going to do plus the learning objective. And this time I'm going to go to state standards. And of course we're in Arkansas, so I'm going to go to the curriculum framework. And once I get there, I'm going to pretend this is a, this is going to be an English language art. Let's see, let's make this computer science. All right, and even in 4th grade, we now have computer science standards that we tie into our activities and lessons. So I can pick out of those. Perhaps this is just on algorithms, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to say students will create programs. Whatever those are, you can select those there again. That's how easy it is to tag all of your assignments with learning objectives. But I'm not, I'm going to say create. It's going to make me put a title in here, and I'm just going to make something up just so you can see what it looks like when I get back over here. So here's my scale or my rubric, and I have this little option to the right. I can either allow students to see that rubric as they're working or not, so I can select that or deselect that. All right. I'm actually going to make this numeric. And then I can say, let's look again at these options down here. Don't forget, you can assign it individually or just leave it blank for the entire group. I can align the learning objectives from here if I have not used a rubric. This will be overridden if I have a rubric. Locking is simply, if I say I want to lock this assignment, that means, of course, I've just now defaulted to unlock, but that means I can turn the lock on at a certain time, or I can have it locked right now. So let's say that this is a quiz and after noon on Friday, I don't want them to see it anymore. I could select that lock it afternoon. That's their last chance to take a look at it. And again, here we are with published and unpublished. And from here, you could also copy it to another course. Let me give you a warning, because this is a Google Drive assignment and it's made a copy for each student in the course that you're in now. When you try to copy that to another course, it's not going to function that way, because you're going to have a different set of students. So when you're using Google Drive assignment, the copy to other courses isn't as friendly. Okay, but I'm going to hit create. And now we have created an assignment where each of those, I spelled that wrong, where each of those will have their own copy. Each student will have their own copy. So let's take a look at Gradebook for just a minute and see what's going on over there with all these assignments we've made. All right, so you can see when I did the Google form, I only assigned that to certain individuals. I didn't assign it to the entire class. So you can see that grayed out area, so I don't expect for them to have a grade for that, because I didn't give that to those. And you can see with the Google Drive here, I can also assign those grades. Now, the form one is the one that will probably grade in Google, and then I'll come in and I can just enter the grades right here. Some of the options you have in Gradebook is, if you see this little bubble to the right here, you can add a comment. And if you see the little flag to the left, you can, if it's empty, you can either mark it excused, incomplete, or missing. Another option that you have here in Gradebook is these three little dots up here to the top. Let me get that out of the way so you can see. From there, you can set all your grades. You can mark the empty cells a certain way. So you have some options to kind of do many boxes at once, or many grades at once there. All right, so just a quick view at what that's kind of looking like over in our Gradebook. So let's hop back over to our course. So I'm coming back up here to the top when I move back to the course. And here I am back to add materials. So let's look at add materials. This is where we're focusing today. We've added folders. We've looked at adding assignments both with the Google Drive assignment app and also with the embedded Google form. We have not touched tests and quizzes yet. We did add a file or a link, and I think we probably have time to add an assessment. So let's look at, actually, instead of adding an assessment, let's look at the media album, because for younger learners, I think this one's very, a very important feature. So let's go down to Add Media Album, just so you can see how it works real quick. And I'm going to call this Pets. And I, of course, could put a description, and once again, I could make it published to students. I could enable comments by the students if I want to have their feedback or not. And then here's something to keep in mind. If you want to allow students to maybe upload their work or whatever assignment you've got, some media, then you can allow this by saying instructors and students can add media. If I only want to be I only want to give the students information, I would toggle that off. But if I want them to interact with me, I would toggle that back on. Okay, so there's some of your choices there, and of course you've got your copy to courses there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create that media album. And I'm going to attach some files, and I have a puppy and a Quaker parrot that I'm going to, and of course I'm going to hold my shift or control either one because they're right next to each other, and I'm going to select both of those, and I'm going to upload both of those images into my media album. So then I select Add Media, and there they are. And then I have some options once I'm there. I can add a caption or write a comment. I'm just going to write a comment here, and I can allow students to do the same. I'm just going to call it adorable. And then I can go to the next one. So this is how students could thumb through your media album and look at it. And I am going to actually add a caption to this one over here to the left. I actually have a Quaker parrot, and it was bought for my daughter. Her name is Julie. So I named him Julie's Caesar. So I'm going to call him Julie Caesar. Okay. So now when I come back up to this album, this is what students will see. And they can do just like we did. They can thumb through those pictures. They can post their own pictures. Maybe during the day you've got an art project and you're just taking pictures. with your smartphone and uploading those to Schoology into that media album. And parents then are picking up their smartphone and saying, oh, look what they're doing today. So this is a really quick tool for having communication with other students, with other teachers, and very importantly with those parents to know, have total transparency. What are my students doing today? What do their assignments look like? What grades do they have? What's missing? What's not missing? What looks excellent? Okay, so this is a really quick tool, I think, or a really great feature that would be useful with both young and the older learners as well. All right, so I think now we're going to skip back over to our, let me get it back over here. I want to look at what we've done today, see if we've met our goals. We wanted to add a mobile app, which we have done. We've added some files and links. We did not quite get to discussion, but we did get to the media album. We did add assignments, and we embedded a Google form, and then we looked at different ways to organize those through folders. Okay. Once again, this will be published on our technology integration page. So as you're looking forward, this is our third time we've met with Schoology. We kind of should know how to navigate around a little bit. We're getting a little more comfortable with it. We've had the communication approach at first. Now we're starting to engage students a little bit. And hopefully you're still continuing to build those resources inside of Schoology. And if you could just concentrate on, maybe now I have some resources and I just want to fill this thing out, see how it works. The challenge would be to just go ahead and engage students with some of these materials that we've created today. So if you have any questions, I hope this time was helpful to you. And if you have any questions, please be sure to either email me at lbishop@sl.org, or if you're already in Schoology, you just go up to that little envelope and mail me, send me a message, Laura Bishop, and I will be happy to help with any questions that I can. I want to thank you for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.